When I see farmers working in line with natural systems instead of against them, they seem to access an infinite abundance based on natural regeneration. They operate peacefully with their surroundings and are an example of lucrative sustainable farming, which is worth paying attention to if you're interested in sustainability, but also if you're interested in making lots of money. Welcome to my world. It's food, it's booze, it's tattoos. Join me as I go on an epic road trip across South Africa. We're gonna eat, we're gonna drink, and we're gonna get tattooed. I'm in Wellington, 2 hours outside of Cape Town to look at the only water buffalo farm in the country. Look at those happy cows. Happy cows make happy milk. Happy milk makes happy cheese. Why did you start doing this? It's such a strange...
I was practicing as an advocate at the Johannesburg bar, and we often wish to go to an Italian restaurant in the local shopping centre. And one of my favourites has always been caprese salad. A caprese salad made properly is only made with water buffalo mozzarella. Often we wouldn't have it, or the quality wouldn't be the same, and questioning the owner as to why it's not available. He made me realise it's a supply issue getting the mozzarella from Italy, and often there were major discrepancies with quality. Out of interest, I looked at why we had no water buffalo in South Africa to make our own, because I'm a firm believer that South Africans can do anything they set their mind to. I became fascinated with the animals, and next thing I knew, I was spending a lot of time on this rather than my chosen profession. In consultation with my wife then, we made a decision and said, this is a great opportunity. Let's do it. At the time, there wasn't much water buffalo available in South Africa, so it was a bit of a risk. Now the large retail stores have brought it in. Pretty much we created a sense of awareness. Unfortunately, a lot of the mozzarella that's brought in from Italy is not always the best quality and often contains milk, so it's not pure water buffalo.
Do you pay a lot of attention to the ethical treatment of the animals, and I'm sure you're not using chemicals?
We don't use pesticides, herbicides, artificial fertilizers. We never have. We have our animals out in the pasture. As you see, this is where they want to be. If it's raining, they're even happier. The only time they go undercover is the short space every day when they get milked. Other than that, they're out here. It's where they prefer it. And we started with 17 cows, and this is just the female offspring from that, so it shows they are healthy. We test our animals yearly for TB and brucellosis to make sure they're healthy. Where we get a vet involved is where the two cows might get into a bit of an altercation, sorting out their status and their ranking within the herd. Generally they're quite tough, but occasionally they can get a horn to a sensitive area like the udder or something like that, and it might require stitches. Buffalo milk, firstly, has a lot more nutritive value than cow's milk does. We use the recipe in Italy. It was developed in Italy, which means you make it without artificial additives or any colorants or any preservatives.
Do you love doing this?
I do. It's very rewarding. They're fantastic animals. I mean, they're very loving if they want to be, but it's like all relationship. It's what you put in. So if you treat them well, they treat you well.
That's incredible. This is so fantastic. I can't believe there are not more people doing this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of demand and a lot of people are interested in doing it. I won't say that we were the first that thought about it, but it's very difficult to bring animals into the country. It's a long process. It's a frustrating process, as it needs to be, because obviously there are standards to maintain.
You succeeded through years of work, of struggle to try and get permission. What's the process of getting them here?
We got ours from Australia. We then had to sort out all the relevant legislation and regulations in Australia. So it's a long process. You know, you've got to be into it for a long haul.
I suppose it's also a good thing because if you want to do something like this, you have to want to do something.
Yeah, you can't go into it half. I mean, you really have to be prepared to commit everything you have. It's not something you can outsource, I don't believe.
You can't outsource passion, can you?
No.
The next time you eat a caprese salad, I want you to think long and hard about this guy and what he and his buffaloes are doing for caprese salads in South Africa. So delicious. So fresh and summery. And tell me about these statues, these wolves.
Well, these wolves were done by a friend of mine, Simon Bannister, who I met years ago up in Kruger. He was doing a lot of installation art and he liked the story of what we were doing, he liked our brand. He decided to do a series of sculptures linked to our wolf trap brand. That's made of old shipping pallets. You can see on the rib cage, you know, it's still a part of a pallet, and in time this thing's just going to vanish. They're amazing though. I mean, each one of them has got, you can see the muscles, you can see the movement.
Absolutely, you can really feel their intent.
And their energy, yeah.
There are two up the way there, where the one is like chilled and happy on the log, and then the other one just bristling and looking at it like ready to hunt.
And the wolf trap's an amazing story. We've still got the old wolf trap on the property where the early settlers were losing their livestock. And being Northern Europeans, they thought it was wolves. But of course, there's never been a wolf seen in sub-Saharan Africa. So while the wolf trap still stands, it's also fun for us, sort of consistent with our approach, is that no wolves were ever trapped. It was obviously another predator, lynx or a leopard, which as you know, still, as I mentioned, exists.
It's an incredible thing that he's done, where he's almost like done as much as possible to not to do anything. Like there's the pallet, maintained it, just like sliced it and it's done.
Yes, but yet he's preserved the integrity of the subject. You know, it's clear that it's a wolf. You know, and it's amazing. I mean,
It's got some life in it.
It certainly has.
Mark, can you tell me a bit about Coconut Cliff?
Yeah, the farm itself was founded in the late 18th century, 1776 to be exact. At Coconut Cliff, we like to say the quality lies in the second half of the bottle. We still fine or clarify the wines with natural free-range egg whites. So we believe all those little increments will add up to a better product.
I've noticed a lot about your farm has an ethical, ecological nature to it. So you've managed to somehow bring all of that into quite a large setup.
Goal is really to leave the place in a much better condition than we found it. And I think if we've done that, then I think I'll be able to lie in my last hours and say I did my best, I'm pretty happy. We really do want to leave something more beautiful for our kids and for future generations.
Tell me about these fermentation tanks of yours. They're egg-shaped.
A lot of our philosophies and principles are based on organic farming and viticulture, and we extend that to the cellar. We get these most beautiful ferments, and we're doing some quite edgy stuff. Tending actually more and more in a biodynamic direction without living it. We're not working with the lunar cycles, and we're not into the hey man, nuts and raisins and poetry at this stage. But we're certainly doing things a lot more interesting. It's been a cool journey, it really has.
What's your involvement with Coconut Cliff?
I started 20 years ago as a winemaker, a farm manager, an accountant, a salesman, and as the business has grown now I'm sort of running the gig, and we've got a team of winemakers and proper farm managers who know what they're doing and people who can handle the numbers.
You're obviously doing all right in the beginning though, to have built it up to such an incredible name.
Yeah, it's been fun, you know, the timing was right. I arrived in this valley 20 years ago with a fridge and a hi-fi, and yeah, it's come somewhere in 20 years. Yeah, we've got a good gig going.
Your wines, you've got so many successful ones. It's phenomenal from all points in the market. It's really, really interesting. Can you tell me about some of the successes?
Yeah, well, at top end is the Coconut Cliff brand. You know, this is high end. It's all sold out on release, fun. And then Chocolate Block, which is probably the most successful premium brand out of South Africa in the last decade. Then the popular ones, Porcupine Ridge, you know, on most people's tables, and latterly the Wolf Trap.
I actually won a competition once with Wolf Trap where I was asked to sell it when I was a waiter as much as possible, and I was like, smacked it out. People loved it. I sold like 50 in a week or something.
It's exactly how I got here actually. I was waiting tables in a restaurant and sold more of a certain brand of Chardonnay than anybody else in the country. So I was invited to the farm, and then the owner said, well, hey, why don't you go to wine school? And that's exactly what I did.
It's a really spicy, aromatic profile, Mark.
Wow, bang on, man. Yeah, that's really our sort of signature house style. That's what we're looking for. You know, Syrah is about spice and nice aromatics and texture. We're not trying to make tasting wines that jump out of the glass and punch you in the nose. These are wines you can enjoy.
It's a lot of vanilla on the nose there. Fantastic. Tell me a bit about the Chocolate Block.
Chocolate Block's sort of become its own sort of cult. You know, it's got an amazing following. And what's so fantastic is abroad, people are not buying into South African wine, they're buying into the brand, which is, there are a few South African wines that have sort of made that crossover. And it's not supposed to be chocolate flavored wine. You know, there are a lot of lookalikes, but the world loves chocolate. It's quite emotive, and you kind of like to think of chocolate, but it's certainly not our intention. Again, it's driven by Syrah, so it's that lovely spice and aromatic. With Cinsault, which gives a wine fruit, Grenache, nice acidity and freshness, Cab just for structure, and a bit of Viognier, the white variety, just to lift the tail of the wine, so to speak.
Viognier is actually one of my favorite grapes. That's interesting that you put it in the red.
Well, both Wolf Trap and the Chocolate Block have a bit of Viognier, and just to add a bit of perfume. Again, just a bit of lift at the end of the wine.
Are you a purist about your wines and how you make them, or are you a bit rock and roll about the design?
No, we're not analytical at all. We tend to work more with feel. You know, this is not Coca-Cola. The one vintage is not going to taste like the next. We're working with the vagaries of the climate with the vintage.
Yet again, another farm working in unison with nature, returning to the natural order of things. They make great wines on a large scale, and they do it better than most.
You don't know what's there to show.
Hi, how are you doing?
Peace and love.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you.
And you.
I can't believe it.
I'm Tamar Thorne. I own the Body Architects Tattoo Studio, where we are at the moment, in Cape Town, South Africa. I opened this place about 5 years ago with my business partner Michael.
The people there are known.
I've been tattooing for about 8 years now. I studied art at school, and then I went into fashion design. I just really didn't enjoy fashion, so I used to paint portraits at home. One day, a guy said to me, you should really try tattooing. I think you'd be really good at it. So he gave me my first tattoo machine, and here I am.
Don't be scared of the big bad bear.
What's your tattooing philosophy?
There's so many. I think that it's just making your customer happy, really. That at the end of the day, that's what it's for. It's a total process for them, and they need to be comfortable, and they need to be happy with what they have. I think it's less about you and more about them. So that's kind of my philosophy, if I have one.
Uh-oh, you hear it on the radio. Oh,
much concentrated on portraits right from the beginning.
So you've got quite a specific style which you're famous for, like the beautiful soft shading and incredibly small portraits. How did you find your way into that style? More tattoos?
I think I've just always drawn like that. I've always loved doing very soft shading in pencil and charcoal, and it's just a natural thing for me to shade like that. Just watching other people working and really focusing on the people that I really admired, like Bob Tyrrell and people like that who did very, very soft black and grey work, and just really watching how they tattooed and then kind of just finding my own way of doing it. But I think I'm quite a gentle person, so it just ends up being like that.
Oh, you hear it on the radio. Uh-oh, you don't give a damn about me. I say, we can't trust.
How do you feel about tattooing and your work?
It's like a boyfriend, in a way. When you first get into it, you completely fall in love with it and you want to surround yourself with it, and your entire life becomes about tattooing and the people that are in it and the different styles, and you completely immerse your life in it and it becomes your entire life. And after a couple of years you start to find a couple of faults and you start to get a bit irritable, and then eventually you kind of settle into this very chilled relationship with it, and I think I'm there now. I think with tattooing I'm in a very chilled relationship with it.
Do you have a kinship, a friendship that you feel with the people that you tattoo?
Definitely. Some of the people that I tattoo have become my best friends. I do tattoos on this guy called Dave, and we hang out a little bit, and he always comes in and gets tattooed by me. And then his friends, Cameron and Lauren, also tattoo both of them. So I've been to their wedding and met their kids, and it's cool. You do definitely become very good friends with the people you tattoo.
How does your family feel about tattooing?
They love it. Yeah, they love it. They never gave me any stress for it at all, which is really cool.
Have you tattooed either of your parents?
I wish I could, but no, neither of them. I think my dad would probably be a little bit more receptive to it because he's into sailing. So I'd love to tattoo my dad. But both of them are very, very easygoing about my career choice. And they're also very proud of me that I have a shop.
What's next going forward for you?
I think I'm actually quite happy where I am. I love my shop and I love the people I work with and my customers as well. And the kind of work that I'm doing. It's exciting.
So when I was writing to you to organize the design and you sent me through the 4 designs and they all had an eye in it.
Yeah.
And so I chose the key and the eye, and you ever feel a kinship with those?
Oh,
things?
definitely. When I was a kid, I used to draw eyes all the time. I used to be obsessed with drawing eyes in pencil and making them look real. And I think as I grew up and I started painting in oils and acrylics and stuff, that's always the thing that I enjoyed the most, was doing the eyes. Because that's where all the life is. Especially in a portrait that you're doing as a tattoo, that's where you put the white and that's where it shines and that's where you can see who the person is. So eyes for me are always really fun, and I collect antique keys. I think I've got over 200.
Are there parts of the body that you more comfortable with?
Oh,
and others that
definitely.
you don't like doing?
Everyone who tattoos will agree that the ribs and the waist are very difficult to tattoo. But arms, legs, chest area, back, everything is very, very easy. Necks and faces and stuff I try to stay away from.
And the foot,
I love tattooing feet. That's my favorite. I love the skin on the feet. It just takes ink so nicely. I mean, sure, because you're wearing shoes and socks and gets a lot of wear and tear, feet generally do need a little bit of a touch-up after a while, but it's just so much fun tattooing feet, I can't say no.
I've often felt uncomfortable about having an eye tattooed on me. It feels weird to me, because especially considering yours is so realistic, I felt uncomfortable with the idea. But I think it's a nice challenge for me, actually.
That's very cool. I definitely like it.
Did you ever think that you would be able to do something that you love and actually earn a living?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I'm the kind of person that believes I can fail at anything. I like trying challenging things, and I like anything creative. When I was in clothing and I really enjoyed it, I think I did quite well at it. I tried painting and I really enjoyed it, and I think I did quite well. So I think it's anything that's creative, I can pretty much figure it out. My mom was an artist, my dad's a mechanic, so tattooing just kind of fits.
In Tamar's words, I don't think I'm the kind of person that believes they can fail at anything. Need I say more? Next week, we go deeper into Cape Town to check out some cool communities.
Gotta stay away from this. My soul's a black and red house. Gotta get away from me. I got no dignity. Gotta stay away from this. My soul's a black and red house. Gotta get